How's it going, Jeremians? A few months ago, I made a video containing facts why I think the Korg PA1000 or even the lower price Korg PA700 is actually technologically more superior than this PSR-SX series here. However, I ruffled a lot of the feathers of the Yamaha fanboys, and if you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out right here. But in today's video, in front of me is the PSR-SX900, and I will most likely upset a lot of Korg PA series fans. However, that is the reason why keyboard players are subscribed to my channel, because I'm non-sponsored, I'm unbiased, I'm independent, and I strip away all the marketing hype and give you my opinion. For those of you who have been around on my channel long enough, you should know that I'm brand agnostic. It doesn't matter if the keyboard is Casio, Korg, Roland, or even Yamaha. To me, a keyboard is just a tool for me to make music, to entertain, as well as to make a living. So I have both the PSR-SX900 as well as the PSR-SX900, and I've made a video comparing these two, and you can find a video right up here. If you have not watched it, go right ahead. So I've been using these keyboards every day for many hours daily to learn the inside out, because being a teacher as well as an entertainer, I definitely need to know my gear. And in my time of spending with this keyboard, I found 7 things which these PSR-SX series keyboards really shine. So do stay tuned to the end of this video, because somewhere right in the middle, I will be sneaking in some whispers about the brand new Korg Arranger keyboards that has reached my ears, and you definitely want to stay updated if that is what interests you. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jeremy C, and in my channel I make reviews, tips and tutorials about Ranger keyboards as well as digital pianos. If content like this interests you, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell icon. I also have a list of my recommended digital pianos as well as Arranger keyboards in the links below. And if you want to have an app, the best app in my opinion to learn how to play the piano as well as the keyboard, do check out the link for a free time unlimited access to 8 songs. The very first thing that the PSR-SX keyboard does very well is the user-friendliness. In fact, it is not intimidating at all, even though it is a pretty high-end keyboard. It is actually inviting, in fact. I have students who are upgrading from a Korg keyboard or even a Yamaha PSR-E series, and they have no problems navigating their way around this PSR-SX just after a couple of hours of familiarizing themselves with the layout and the interface. And I think Yamaha has done a very good job in not being too revolutionary. Of course, this is a huge jump from the PSR-S series that they call this the PSR-SX series. In fact, there are so many comfortable elements that is brought forward from the PSR-S series. So anyone who's upgrading this and coming from the PSR-S series from the first time would just feel right at home, and there is almost a very gentle learning curve. And this user-friendliness extends even to the user's manual. So Yamaha has done the right thing in developing 2 separate user's manual. One which covers just enough for you to get around to playing this keyboard, and they call this the owner's manual. And you have the other one which is called the reference manual for those who are a little bit more experienced and who want to delve way deeper into the keyboard. This is quite a contrast with the Korg PA owner's manual, which is just lumped in together into one massive, I believe it's 600-page manual, which needs a lot of swimming through to get to all the information that you want. So I think the Korg PA series developed by the Italian division of Korg retains a little bit of this snob appeal that this Korg PA series is more of a higher end keyboard, and therefore it shouldn't be as user-friendly as it is supposed to be. And I'm glad that Yamaha has taken a different approach and made this really user-friendly. The next thing is just right out of the box, immediately after unpacking, the default voices on the PSR-SX is just very sweet. It is well processed to fit the ears of the general mass public, and that is not a bad thing if you just want to sit down and start playing immediately. And this is not a bad thing because a large clientele and a large segment of the market which still plays with arranger keyboards really are just the home keyboard player who have upgraded from the earlier days of playing the organ. And they definitely may not be the one who delve really deep to customize their sound and to effects process their sounds. So Yamaha has done a good job in getting these voices to sound good right out of the box. Whereas the voices on the Korg PA series are a little drier, and I would say it actually sounds more like the actual instrument itself. That is because Korg wants their players to start with a drier sample which they can then apply their own effects and process it further to get it to sound the way that they want, because it's much easier to add effects to it than to remove effects from a sound that is already heavily processed. But in this case, for the general clientele and market of this arranger keyboards, I think Yamaha has done a really good job. Out of the box, the voices just sound good. The next thing that the PSR-SX series does really well is just right out of the box, the default built-in styles in this keyboard just sounds groovier and is also a lot more responsive to very angular chord changes. It just seems way better programmed than those on the Korg PA series. On the PSR-SX900 and 700, you find a lot of legacy styles which has been around for the past 10 years since the PSR-S900. However, Yamaha has taken great care to ensure that it is revoiced to take advantage of the new samples, the new effects found in this current instrument. However, the disadvantage of this is that backward compatibility is greatly compromised. When you are playing on a Korg ecosystem, it is really easy to just take styles from a lot of the previous generations, dump it into the most current one you have, and they usually do very well with very little tweaking involved. Out of the box, I think the Korg PA styles just are not as sweet sounding as those on the Yamaha PSR-SX. However, the Korg PA does give a lot technologically more superior style editing and style creating tools to tweak the styles to exactly the way you want it to sound. So this again goes down to the way that the keyboards are actually targeted. I think the Korg PA series players are definitely more involved and usually are more experienced. The next thing that's better on the PSR-SX series is the touchscreen. So the touchscreen on this PSR-SX by Yamaha is definitely higher resolution than that found on the Korg PA series keyboards. However, the Korg PA1000, which competes with the PSR-SX900, has a tilting LCD screen which definitely improves the visibility and readability significantly. Yamaha reserves that for their Tyros and their Genos range. What I like next about the PSR-SX is that it has sub output. Many people are just getting this wrong and thinking that this sub output is for having your sound output to a set of subwoofers. That is not necessarily the case. What it allows you to do is just isolate certain elements in your sound and have those output through a separate pair of line out to a separate pair of speakers. So you can see from this aspect, it is really very much live performance oriented, because you would want a cleaner sound from having different parts of your sounds coming from different set of speakers. So this feature of having sub outputs isn't exactly new. You do find it in very high-end workstations and keyboards, but finally it has trickled down to a prosumer keyboard like this PSR-SX series keyboards. The OTS function on the Yamaha PSR-SX are just much better than those found on the Korg and Casio line of keyboards. This concerns those who do live playing, and I do quite a bit of live playing where somebody calls out a song request and I just have to select a rhythm and be ready to go. And these OTS are a real lifesaver because the Yamaha team has programmed a set of very good sounding OTS that is really very suitable for that style or genre of music. So the OTS in the Korg series as well as the Casio CT-X series, I mean, they're not bad, but definitely nowhere near as thoughtful as those found on the PSR-SX series of keyboards. Assignable buttons. There are 6 assignable buttons under the touchscreen on the PSR-SX, and I just love this function so much. It is really very useful because it can be used to assign a lot of different functions and features that you want to trigger. So for example, fade in and fade out might not be a very regularly used feature, and to have a dedicated button just for a fade in, fade out, which you don't use that often, is really a waste of the real estate of the fascia. So I use these assignable buttons on a daily basis, and it has been very useful when you are playing live. So there will be those who say that, well, you've got assignable pedals, don't you? Can you not assign the functions to the pedals? Yes, you can of course, however with a limit of only 2 pedal inputs, and if you're using one of the pedal inputs for your registration sequence change, then you are really only left with one other assignable pedal. And these 6 assignable buttons allow you to free up that pedal for that critical moment when you don't want your hands to leave the keypad. But I have one gripe about the assignable buttons though, because on the main screen you have no idea what has been assigned to the buttons, so at a glance there's no way to know unless you go into a sub menu. Only then you can see what has been assigned to the different controllers. And for those who have stuck on till this part of the video, your patience is rewarded because the whisper is that Korg is planning and is developing in the final stages not 1 but 2 arranger keyboards, and this will most likely be released in the next couple of months. However, this will not be for the PA series. It is something which is radically quite different, and not a lot is known about this yet, but definitely it will be released in the coming months. And it has come to my knowledge that these keyboards being developed are actually not by the Italian division of Korg, but is by another one of their global division, and therefore it can take quite a different approach to an arranger keyboards. Thank you for watching. Keep making music you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.